Merhaba, welcome to another video. Today I am going to do a different video from usual. Normally I talk about motorcycles. Today I am also with a motorcycle which came out from the topic was issued during the period which I am going to talk about. This is a 1952 BSA C11. I am going to talk about history here. I saw a video by History Matters, the YouTube channel, which talked about why did Britain not annex Malta. It was a very complicated issue, and myself as a historian I thought to give a better explanation and a Maltese perspective of the events that happened at that time. I'm not going to go into detail, but I am going to give briefly some main points which highlight the event, and which was not actually just both agreeing like the video portrays it and Britain then just said no, but there were other factors which was not mentioned in the video, although the video is quite good, but there were other factors which it is important to keep in mind. So yeah, I'm still with the team. I have my 1950s, 1952 BSA C11, but I am going to talk about Maltese history this time. As you may know, actually we were a British colony, so we have a lot of British influence as well, and had a lot of British motorcycles in Malta. I want to start by clarifying how one spell George Borch Olivier. One can say the Italianized version of his name, Giorgio, as the video, as they said it in the video, so Giorgio instead of George.
Giorgio Olivier.
But we say George in Maltese. Then Borch Olivier, it's Borg, not Borg, not with a G, it's a Borg. And Olivier, it's Olivier, not Olivier. It may have been like that in the past, with an I and the E, so Olivier, but in Maltese when there is an I and the E, it's a long I, so Olivier. As pointed out in the video, Malta's economy was totally based and fully dependent on British military spending on the island. Noting the dockyard, which was super important. Great investment in Malta was urgently needed, as the war had left Malta in a terrible state. So a few years earlier there was the Second World War, and Malta was basically one of the most bombed places in the world. Hence, Mintoff's strategy was to integrate with the UK, with the aim of improving the standard of living of the people, which includes social benefits, work opportunities and conditions on a par with the British, amongst others. Basically, to urgently improve the socio-economic situation in hard times. Many Maltese were in fact also emigrating during this period in search of work. Many going to Australia, the US, Canada and the UK most especially. So many more Maltese descendants are in these countries nowadays as well, because in the 50s there were lack of work because of the devastation after World War II basically. I am now going to get into a bit technical. Normally I go down by the engine and explain the specifications of the engine. For this video I'm going to go into the referendum which was mentioned for Malta to become part of the UK. One very important point which one shall mention is that the voting of the referendum and the result of the referendum wasn't a clear reflection of what the people wanted, because only 59% of the electorate went to vote, And the yes votes were 67,000 from 90, and the no votes were 20,000 from 90. So yes, there were more yes votes in favor of integrating. However, again, only 59% of the electorate went to vote. They argue, how did many not went to vote or so? Well, in Malta we have normally a very high percentage of voters, but there was the Nationalist Party which pushed people for not to vote, actually, as a response. Moreover, the church saw this integration with the UK as a threat. So it also encouraged people to, or preached against our union with the UK, because it saw that Protestantism may be a threat to Roman Catholicism in Malta. As you may know or may not, I don't know, Malta is like a stronghold of Roman Catholicism. Not much today, but back in the 50s, the church had a lot of power here in Malta, so they had a lot of influence. So yes, the voting system, the referendum, was not a clear reflection actually of what the Maltese wanted. But anyway, yes, those who voted, the majority voted in favor of joining the UK. But because they saw that option to better their lives, as there was no jobs other than working with the British, basically, in the shipyard and other services. So our economy was, as I said, was totally based on British investments and spending here on the island. So yeah, they thought that integrating with Britain would make our lives, the Maltese lives of my ancestors, on par with the British. Another point is that negotiations were not going as planned too. The British realized that it would be expensive, as a lot of funds were required for Malta to higher its socio-economic standard to level them, noting that Malta did not even benefit from the Marshall Plan. The Maltese archipelago was just used as a military base, hence a strategic tool. Thus, social investments were very limited and basically also to serve British needs. One shall point out that during this time there were also the Suez crisis. In 1958, tensions rose to a higher level, as the British also created a state of uncertainty with regards to the dockyard, Malta's main employment and economic sector at the time. Protests and riots followed. Mintoff had publicly declared that the British were not honouring the obligations agreed in 1955, and that self-determination is the rule to follow. From then on, Malta prepared itself and worked to gain independence in 1964, then to become a republic in 1974, and we had our first president, and then also worked to and became a program to gain freedom. It was actually more of an economic type of freedom, to not stay dependent on the British and NATO spending here on the island in 1979. I have given a very brief explanation, but I hope I made things a bit clearer. It was not just a matter of yes or no. The lives of thousands of Maltese depended on such a decision. Nowadays we are doing great, and I am proud we maintained our distinct identity, although we have a very good relationship with the UK, and I love it, and I went there and stayed for whole 2 months in the UK, so I love the UK, but I am proud we stood by ourselves and stayed a country of our own. Please subscribe to my channel if you are interested in motorcycles, especially classic ones. I will be uploading more videos soon. Thank you.